It's December 12th, 2022. There we are, just rearranging this. December the 12th, 2022. And our reading today is in the book of Psalms 77. I cried out to God for help. I cried out to God to hear me. When I was in distress, I sought the Lord. At night, I stretched out untiring hands, and my soul refused to be comforted. I remembered you, O God, and I groaned. I mused, and my spirit grew faint. You kept my eyes from closing. I was too troubled to speak. I thought about the former days, the years of long ago. I remembered my songs in the night. My heart mused, and my spirit inquired. Will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? Has his unfailing love vanished forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has he in anger withheld his compassion? Then I thought, to this I will appeal. The years of the right hand of the Most High, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will meditate on all your works and consider all your mighty deeds. Your ways, O God, are holy. What God is so great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles. You display your power among the peoples. With your mighty arm, you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. The waters saw you, O God, the waters saw you and writhed, the very depths were convulsed. The clouds poured down water, the skies resounded with thunder, your arrows flashed back and forth. Your thunder was heard in the whirlwind, your lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and quaked. Your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty waters. Though your footprints were not seen, you led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Amen. Well, I wonder if you've ever heard of a novel. It's actually one of the most famous novels written in modern times, and the title is Remembrance of Things Past. You might well not have heard of that, and I'd be very surprised if you've read it. I know about it, but I've never read it, partly because originally it was in French by a man called Marcel Proust, but apparently it's reckoned to be one of the greatest novels of all time, up there with Dickens and Jane Austen and so on. Well, it's the title I'm interested in, because that title would fit this psalm very well. Remembrance of things past. A psalm that begins with remembrance of past pain. That's in verses 1 to 6. Now, we don't know much about this man, Asaph. If we'd been told that David had written this, this would have been strong even for David. But we know some of the details of David's life, and we might think, yes, we know those times when this was happening and when he was crying out like this and doing that. We do know about Asaph that he was a man who experienced very intense and very personal pain. Just those opening verses. Perhaps you might want to underline again and again the use of the words I, me, my. The reality, the intensity, the personal nature of this pain that he has experienced in the past. And often with pain comes perplexity, confusion, questions. Verses 7 to 9. There are 6 devastating questions there. We haven't time now to do it. But one of the ways in which we should use our Bibles when we come across a section like this, take some time, get alone, read, meditate, reflect, apply, and see if there's a hint, an echo of those sorts of questions in your life. Yes, maybe in the past, but maybe today. Verses 10 to 12 then brings us to the key that opens the door to this pain. It brings us to the heart of the psalm. Quite literally, this is in the middle of the psalm. But it brings us to that great turning point in the heart of this man, Asaph. And what is it? Yes, he certainly remembers pain in the past, but he also remembrances the Lord's dealings and deeds of the past. Verse 11, look, the word remember is used twice there. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. And he uses that word remembered 2 other times, so 4 times in the course of a fairly short psalm. This is the central idea, the central theme. And this brings us to the great turning point, verses 13 to 20. It's interesting. It's pretty stark. Having remembered in this way. And by the way, this is our personal duty to do this. I will remember. Nobody can do it for you. You've got to do it for yourself. Only then will the blessings flow in verses 13 to 20. Not that all our pains and problems and difficulties are taken away. That's not the point. But our attitude, our perspective, our focus changes dramatically here. No reference now to I, me, my pain. Every line now is you, your, God, God's activity, and God's glory. Almost certainly, he's been able to cast his mind back beyond his own personal experience into the history of the nation of Israel. Verse 15, with your mighty arm you redeemed your people. Almost certainly that's a reference to the Exodus, and all the language here refers to that mighty redemption, that mighty rescue of God's people from slavery in Egypt. But when we think of Exodus, when we think of redemption, when we think of liberation, from our perspective today, there is no greater rescue plan than the one that we read about, for example, in Galatians chapter 4, verses 4 to 7. Now, we don't often read this at Christmas, but my friends, I can assure you, this could be a perfect reading for Christmas coming up, because this is what is at the heart of this season of celebration. Galatians 4, verse 4, but when the time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under law, to redeem those under law, that we might receive the full rights of sons, because you are sons. God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son. And since you are a son, God has made you also an heir.